Hello everyone, it's Dragana from Saacibo. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about printables. As you know, ink is not really cheap, and if you print both sides, it does take a toll on your printer, and it is not really necessary. If you have a nice image on one side, you might as well have something more, along the line of just dyed papers. I tried dyeing papers, for example, with coffee or tea, and then taking them through my printer. And that doesn't always work because paper gets a little bit wrinkled and it can get jammed inside of your printer. So I thought maybe I'll show you a few different techniques that are relatively easy and simple, and you can use them on any papers, not just on printables. But on printables, especially if you use inkjet printers, if you get them too wet, the ink will run on the other side. So we don't want that. So the printables that I want to use today are my own, and I printed them on one side. Okay, so there's this one, Marble Paper Collection in blue and green, Ocean Life Collection, and Nautical Collection. This is the one that I had in my shop for like 2 years. And these are the two new ones. One is with my own marbled papers that are digitally enhanced, and then there's this one. I love this one. It's a new one. All right, I will leave the photos of all of these at the end of the video in a slideshow so that you can skip to that part if you want to see them. I won't go through them now because this video is about dyeing papers, not about this. Anyway, I want to dye these because I need them in my own journal that I'm working on. So I'm going to be showing you several different techniques on how to dye papers. First, you need to prepare your surface. Put something on your desk that you can wipe easily, because when you finish with one, if you have any droplets, you have to wipe them off. Otherwise, the other side of the other print is going to get stained. The other thing I want to mention, even if you get some stains on one side, it doesn't really matter. It might make your papers more interesting. Actually, sometimes I do that on purpose with my digitals. I spray them with dyes, with inks, with acrylics, just to make them a little bit less digital. I don't know if you know what I mean. I want them to look wrinkled. I want them to look old. I don't want them to look like they were just out of the printer. So by doing this on the other side, you'll get that look. Okay, so get yourself a cup of coffee. I'm going to use coffee. This is just black coffee, filtered coffee. You can use instant coffee, I suppose. If you don't like the smell of coffee, you can use tea. Whatever you like for your papers. You can also make onion skin dye. That's quite easy to make. Okay, I put some of the coffee in this little spray bottle. I'm going to use that, and I have one of these. The one that you can take the liquid inside. Pipette, is that what it's called? I've got some water, just clean water in a spray bottle, and I've got some water here, and I got one of these sponges, okay, like natural ones that have these big holes, and I've got a tray. I'm going to be mixing my dyes in the tray here. Okay, now I don't have that many spray inks, but since I'm working on an ocean theme journals, it's actually all right. I've got this like a teal, it says here green, light green, and this green. So these two greens will mix probably well with coffee to give me that nice watercolor. And I have this one. I'd rather if I have orange, but perhaps when I mix this with coffee, it will not be so bright. This is magenta. If you have some watercolors that come in tubes like this, you can use watercolors as well. Then I'm going to use a straw perhaps, and some brushes. And I've prepared some fabrics. This is just a plain cotton fabric. I'm going to use this one to wipe this working area. And hopefully by the end of the day, I'll have that dyed as well. It will have interesting patterns. I've got two. Okay. I've also prepared some things that I want to dye, like in terms of fabrics, like some cheesecloth and various fabrics that I think might give me nice patterns. Okay, we'll talk about that when we come to that part. If you have some stencils, that would be great as well. You can use stencils, even some bubble wrap is fine. Another thing we can use is a dishwashing liquid with a straw that we add to one of our dies to get bubble design on the papers. I'm pushing here more towards ocean and sea theme because I'm working on a journal like that, but you can certainly do whatever you like. This is just some examples. Okay, I'll start with the most simple one. I'll just get my brush. I'm going to dip it in the coffee and I'm just going to do this. Just going to dye the papers. I'm holding the paper on one end, and you don't want to soak the paper too much. You can go over, just as long as you don't move it too much. Okay, and that is it. Just do that and you let it dry. Let's wipe that off. Now we can try it with the spray. Okay, if you have a spray bottle, just coffee, hold it. That's it. It's done. Let's get that one. Okay, now we can do a combination of this and the spray. You will notice that the paper tends to curl. All right, let's move that one aside. Notice when I lifted it up, it started to drip, and that is fine. Have a look. Some of the coffee caught a bit of ink, so it changed the color there. The ink started to run off, but that's all right. We'll get nice edges. It's because we used a little bit more liquid. Now I want to show you my favorite way of doing this. For that, I need to actually pour some. I'll just take this out. I need to pour some coffee in a tray, like that, and just this. So don't soak too much, have just enough, all right? And then you just go. Try this the other day and it was really nice. We'll cover the page, but not entirely. Just like that. Let's do this one. That. So we're just combining a few. And then maybe this. Let's make one with a bubble wrap, okay? So I'll just cover the whole area. This. I didn't go all the way to the edge. Okay, so I'm gonna take my bubble wrap and I'll turn this side down, the one that has these raised things. So I'm just going to place it over. just like that. And I'm going to let it dry with the bubble wrap on top. Now let's do one with a stencil. Let's take this stencil. So we take the stencils and I'll just go over the stencil gently. You can also use the spray, you can use the sponge. The coffee will spread a little bit underneath, but that's alright, it might give you an interesting result. So we'll just let it dry like this with the stencil on top. Then I've got some ink bleed here. I also like to do this with just cheesecloth, okay, or gauze. So the way I do that is I actually put it inside of the die and then I squeeze as much as I can, okay. Place it on top. If it's big like this, I just fold. Now it needs to have a little bit more contact with the paper, and I didn't actually put anything on the paper, so I'm just going to, maybe I'll just use the sponge this time, just do that, just to get a little bit more moisture. I'm gonna leave it to dry like this. Okay. Now you can also either spray or spread with a brush. And then put some fabric on top. I wanted to dye this fabric. So as you can see, it has the areas that are really thin and see-through and these areas that are thick. So I'm hoping it will kind of affect the outcome. Okay, so I'm just going to do this. I'm going to add a little bit more because I want to dye the fabric as well. So I'm using the fabric as a stencil basically. I haven't tried this one. Wonder what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna let it dry like this. Another technique that I want to show you is with a dishwashing liquid and a straw. You might have seen this one. It's quite simple and easy and sometimes gives really nice results. But if your printables are printed on a really thin paper like 80 GSM, 100 GSM, even 120, I wouldn't recommend it. For some reason, dishwashing liquid will seep right through the paper and it will melt the ink on the other side. So use this technique on printables that are printed on heavier paper, like thicker paper. So I don't have any that are printed on thick paper at the moment, so I'm just going to show you this technique on a plain piece of paper. Grab some of your coffee, right? And you pour some dishwashing liquid. This doesn't happen with all these, but I've noticed with this one, when I used it earlier, it just dissolved the ink completely. So seep right through and dissolve the ink. All right, so I'm not gonna destroy my papers that are printed. So I'm just gonna use the plain paper just to show you. So you mix this to get a foam and use your straw and you start blowing. And you try not to make a mess. All right, there it is. And you just spread it. Try to move it, because if it stays in one spot for too long, it actually just dyes the whole thing and you don't get that nice design. Just keep moving. Just take a bit of practice. I think that's probably enough of that. I'll just put it aside to dry. All right, I've cleaned the area. I got a little bit more coffee because I used most of that. And now I want to try a few techniques involving inks. So I'm going to put a little bit of coffee here. I'm going to spray some inks. Some of these inks are quite intense, as you can see, so that is not what I want for my papers. Dilute with water, right, and with coffee. So coffee will mute them and water will make them lighter. Just add a bit more water so they're nice purple and green. Kind of like those colors. All right, this is very thin paper. This is tracing paper, I think 60 GSM. Hopefully it won't soak right through. And the first technique I want to try is with a sponge. Let's just do that. So we're doing the same thing as we did before. It's just that we've added a little bit of color. You can do this with natural dyes, but if you don't have time to make some and you don't know how, you just do much work, yeah, just use the inks that you have. Alright, let's do this one. Going to just do this in 2 colors. So I'm going to spray with coffee around the edges and a little bit on top. I've got this one which is a little bit lighter color maybe. That will be enough. On this one I think I want to use this fabric. I would love to have some of that, some of these waves on this here. So I'm going to just use this. Put that down first. I'm going to soak it really well. And then I'm going to press this. I'm hoping that the waves, the raised parts of the fabric will collect more ink and give me that pattern. I'm hoping anyway. I've got this lovely lace. I'll just doing this. Get an even coverage. Then I'm going to place this one. And I'm going to spray with some coffee. Probably plenty. I'm going to put that aside. I'm just going to add a bit more. Maybe some of that lighter green. And some coffee. It would be nice if you have some perhaps gold or silver or bronze spray inks. That would look nice too. Maybe let's do some of that. Let's do one more. I'll just spray directly with this ink. I love this color. And then I'll spray with coffee. I'm going to leave this, maybe a little bit of that. It might end up looking like the ocean floor. Love it. I think I've shown you most of the techniques, and I guess it's just a matter of experimenting now and using perhaps different colors. And if you have different dyes, it doesn't have to be coffee. I just happen to have coffee today, and I'm using coffee, but you can also do this fold. Just try one more. I actually want to dye this piece, so I might as well just do it, so I'll get the paper dyed as well. Spray around with coffee. I want some of this, but this is just too strong, I think. It's very dark, very intense. I'm just gonna do it like this. Coffee reminds me a little bit of rust here. And the design on the other side is quite, you know, plain. So if it goes through, it doesn't really matter much. Okay. I could probably go on for the rest of the day, but for the sake of this video, and I don't want it to be too long, I think I just want to finish dyeing this fabric that I used to wipe the area. I think it looks nice, but I'm going to, you know, try and maybe turn it into a journal cover. So I have this piece of lace. How can I use that? I'll just dip it in the coffee first. And I'm going to spray some inks here. So these are so intense. Looks like a dirty mess. Who knows what is this going to look like once I'm done. Have to spread it nicely. I love these colors, the ocean colors, blues and these pinks and purples and greens. Just so magical. Okay, that can be like that. Just pour some coffee here. I'm gonna do this with the fabric to get the rest. Just a little bit. Oh God, I didn't close this properly. That ink is just so intense. Just want to get some of that color on this side. Maybe I can do the fish. This. That one. I know I'm making a mess here. That is what it is. Usually. Look at my hands. But I actually love it. Coffee. I will have to leave this one here to dry. I will let this dry, let the papers dry, and then I'll clean up this mess and hopefully I'll be able to wash my hands. This is ridiculous. And then we'll see what we made so we can evaluate all of them. All right. I'll be back later on. This is the following day. I had to leave everything to dry properly, and now let's just go through them together. I'll just simply pile them one on top of the other. Okay, this one is looking really cute, and that's gonna go in one of the journals that I'm working on. Now this one, you can see a little bit of that there. But overall, it's a nice color. I would definitely have to leave these papers under a heavy book to flatten them out. But what happened on this side, I think because I used quite a lot of moisture, whatever was printed on the back actually totally disappeared. So yeah, do not use too much water or inks, as little as possible. All right, now here. This one's looking good. It's a little bit thicker paper than this one, I think. It seems to be. This is 100 and this is 80. Now, on this side, it looks all right. And here also, I can only see a little bit of this in some areas. I suppose with this fabric, it would work better if I just used white paper. But still, I'm quite happy with it because I have some of those swirls from this side onto that side. All right, let's see here. Oh, this one turned out really nice with the bubble wrap. We also have some of the bleed of this ink onto this side, which is great. So I'm happy with that one. Now let's see here. We used just this. Oh, that one turned out really nice. And I have some cheesecloth dyed at the same time. This one's looking really good. Some of the ink bled from that to here, which is actually perfect. I love this one. Okay, Now let's see here. We have a little bit of bleed around the edges, which I like. I might even spray a little bit more to have more of that. We'll see. And this side is also very nice. We have some of the ink showing. So overall, I'm very happy with this one. And then we used this stencil over. It's actually, when I think about it, the coffee mixed with some of these greens and purples, and yeah, I really like that one. Okay, let's see here. We have some droplets. I might actually spray this with a bit more coffee later on. And we use this fabric. And I love the result. It's very nice. I love it. A bit of purple and a bit of green and some coffee. It's nice, that one too. Now here we use this fabric. We were hoping to get some wavy lines, but we didn't get any. This fabric works really well with gel plate because it's got these raised areas like waves, but obviously it didn't really work with the coffee. So yeah, I wouldn't use it. I mean, there is a little bit, but you can't really see them. But overall, it's not a bad paper. It's nice. Now this one, I can see that a lot of the coffee seeped through onto this side, and I actually like it. Let's see here. We have that like purple. That's nice too. Really nice page. Okay. Now this one, it looks okay, I suppose, on this side. Yeah, but here you can see more of the bubbles rather than on that side. It's not that obvious, but here you can see the bubbles. I would have liked more bubbles here. I can always go back and do it again, but perhaps I would do it in a different color. Maybe use one of that light green or something, just to have a bit of variety. But some areas are kind of very nice. All right. Now this one now looks really old, like really old map, and it's wrinkly. And I absolutely love this side. Really nice. I should scan some of these and maybe put on my website for you to download some free background pages. This one looks alright too. Very nice color, and you can see some of that on this side. I love it. Now this one, this one's very nice on this side. I like that. We used the sponge and the pipette to add a few drops, and then it all leaked everywhere. It's very nice, that one. It looks good on this side as well. We have a few drops, but that's all right. Here as well, I can see where the coffee came through on this side. Oh, this one's really nice. I love this one. This must be my favorite. I'm definitely going to scan all of these in. Very nice, that one. Let's see here. This one is kind of nice and plain, perfect for writing. I like it. It's good to have some pages that are just plain. And I can see that a few of the areas turned a bit more yellowish from the coffee. Okay, let's see here. Oh, that's a nice one too. I like that one too. Really dramatic. And that as well. I just love this effect with the sponge. Really looks nice. It's easier to achieve than that with bubbles. I'm not really good with bubbles. This is also very nice. Just the coffee and a few areas like a foam a little bit. I like that one too. That as well. So in conclusion, the digitals that I printed on 100 GSM, like this one, they didn't have or had very little coffee coming through to the other side, while the ones that I printed on 80 GSM, they actually had quite a bit showing up on this side. So it's whatever you want to achieve. Now this one, it looks also nice when you lift it up to the sky. You can see some of the swirls from here. But but apart from that, it's very nice, smooth page. And the fabric, you know, the last bit that I put, oh, I love it. I love it. And this as well, I'm going to use that for the journal cover. Now let's see here. Yeah, you can see the fish, so there it is, the journal cover. It looks all right on this side as well, actually. I like that. But I like this as well. Nice. And maybe then have the journal cover something like this. Yeah, so overall I'm very happy with the results. I should probably put all of these here with the rest of the papers. I think I should have enough now for a journal. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it gave you some ideas. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you soon in my next video. And don't forget the slideshow. It's going to be right after I say goodbye.